Ooh, hey guys, what's up? It's Biscuit Horror Reviews. I'm here with a Blu-ray DVD collection update. Not too much going on currently. I've got a few releases here. Some of these recent, some of them not. I'm just gonna go. I also have a volume of a graphic novel here as well. So I'll just go through kind of in order. First, we got The Lighthouse. Do I need to say anything about The Lighthouse? This was like the best film from last year. And it was one of my favorites from last year. It was my number one film from last year, actually. I saw this in the theaters when it came out, the night it came out. And yeah, it's a really wild, crazy, cosmic horror comedy. It's kind of hard to describe. And it got majorly snubbed at the Oscars this year, only getting nominated for Best Cinematography and not even fucking winning it. So, yeah, there's that. Up next, we got another one that was one of my favorites from a couple years ago. Finally has a Blu-ray release. It's Mon Monsters. This is a film that is on the horror streaming service Shudder, and I highly recommend seeing this movie. This was one of my favorite movies from a couple years ago. It is a very interesting kind of Taiwanese kind of vampire zombie kind of monster horror comedy, essentially having to do with this teenager who is bullied, and after he is framed for stealing some money by the kids who bully him, him and the kids who bully him end up having to do some community service, and in doing so they encounter some man-eating monsters, and they capture one of them and proceed to torture it and try to exploit it and extort and use it to make money, or get something out of it. It kind of reminds me of the film Dead Girl, which is the one where the teenage boys find a dead woman like a zombie strapped to a bed, and they proceed to just fuck it. It kind of reminds me of that, but a lot less weirdly sexual and fucked up. This movie's still kind of fucked up, but there's some really great moments in this film, particularly the moment that is literally on the front cover, where a character is confronted by the monster in a bus, while a cover of My Way by Frank Sinatra plays in the background, and it's a really nice scene. Like, I know, like, calm, therapeutic, chill music played with violence over top of it is kind of a cliche, but I kind of like that cliche quite a bit. I'm happy that this has a Blu-ray release, finally. This next one is one that I have been waiting for a Blu-ray release for many years. It is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I actually got to take this out of the slipcover protector, because I put it in the slipcover protector, because I don't want it to get damaged, because I absolutely adore this film. I'm talking about My Bloody Valentine. Finally, this film fucking has a Blu-ray from Scream Factory, no less. I was hoping for Scream Factory or Arrow Video to put this out. Either one works, but this is honestly the best release of this film that has ever been put out. This is like my favorite slasher film of all time. It's very violent, very creepy. I really adore this film, and I genuinely think in a lot of ways it's better than some other classics of the genre. Like, I honestly think that this movie is a little creepier than Halloween. I think the violence is a bit more brutal than the stuff in like Friday the 13th, for example. But even if you personally don't think it isn't, I know that like this film has a pretty decent sized cult following, and it's kind of iconic in its own right, even if it did get cut to shit and swept under the rug quite a bit. But this release contains the 4K scans of the original camera negatives for both the theatrical version and the uncut version. Confession time, I've never seen the theatrical version. I've only seen the uncut version, and honestly, I don't want to see the theatrical version after seeing the uncut version, because the uncut version is so good. This new restoration is absolutely amazing. The scenes that were cut in the old DVD release of it from Lionsgate which I have covered in signatures from the cast and crew. I feel the need to show that off every time I fucking get the chance to, because it's just so nice. It was such a great experience. But in that old DVD release, which also had a Blu-ray release, but that Blu-ray release went out of print quick as hell. The difference in quality from the scenes from the theatrical version and the scenes that were cut were night and day. The scenes that were cut out and spliced back in were either really faded and kind of saturated, very bright, kind of hard to make things out, or they were really, really dark and kind of grimy looking. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. I do kind of like that look when it comes to older exploitation films, but to see those scenes in perfect clarity, same quality as the rest of the film, is honestly absolutely amazing, and I'm really, really happy that this happened. I kind of wish that this would have came out a couple years ago, so that way I could have gotten it and had this covered in signatures from the cast and crew. But I'm not mad. I'm not mad about it, and this is like the only Scream Factory release I'm putting in a fucking slipcover protector, because I actually love this film, legitimately, and I want to keep the slipcover in good condition. Usually I don't put the slipcover protectors on Scream Factory releases, but, for this one I have to. Just a second here. But yeah, that Scream Factory release of My Bloody Valentine. Very, very good stuff. We have another Scream Factory release. This one is of a title that is actually going out of print this year. It's still in stock on their website for like $13. It's still in stock on Amazon for around $12-13. So if you want to grab this title before it goes out of print to resell it or just to have it in your collection, then I do recommend grabbing it as soon as possible. But this is the title Demented, which is one of their titles from like 2017 that it got released and nobody really cared because nobody likes this movie. To be fair, I watched it after getting the Blu-ray, and I was actually kind of surprised by it. I was expecting it to be absolutely terrible in every way, and it wasn't. Don't get me wrong, this movie is like a bad soap opera about a woman being recovered from being sexually assaulted. And it's definitely not a very, I guess, comfortable film. It's definitely not something that I would show to just anybody. I would only show this to people who are really into bad movies, because this movie is really bad, but the first 40 minutes are mostly kind of boring, and if you aren't up for a character drama, the first 40 minutes are legitimately awful. But if you're up for it, it's not too bad. The last half hour, I want to say, or the last probably maybe not even 40 minutes, but the last half hour, 25 minutes, this film gets pretty fucking surreal and dreamlike and becomes almost a unintentional dark comedy. And that's something that I can really, really get behind, is unintentional dark humor. With the kind of revenge aspect. It's basically a rape and revenge film, except it is about the victim essentially losing their mind and lashing out against people that have broken into her house, rather than lashing out and getting revenge on the people who actually assaulted her. She kind of mistakes these people that have broken in for the people who assaulted her. It's an interesting film, not a very kind or fun movie necessarily, but the last act is kind of interesting, and I don't regret picking it up for $13. Next, we got a Blu-ray release of an anime series, the complete series. I don't buy too many Blu-ray releases of entire series of anime because they tend to be kind of pricey, even for the shorter series. And, I'm not one for rewatching a series or, as much as I am up for rewatching a movie. That being said, I mainly grabbed this because it was on sale for like $17, and I usually see this for like $30. It's the complete series of Cowboy Bebop on Blu-ray. Uh, do I need to say anything about Cowboy Bebop? For those of you unfamiliar, may not watch anime, Cowboy Bebop is a series that was released in the 90s, and it's like a weird mix of action, comedy, like science fiction, and noir. And kind of like noir elements, with it being about bounty hunters in this distant future, going through space, you know, bounty hunting, and it's a really great series. Like, it's one of those series that I recommend to everybody. I have, I know people, and I'm sure everybody knows people everybody who, watches anime, whether it be obsessively or casually, knows people that are like, oh my god, anime is fucking trash. This is the one I always recommend to people because it's not like any other anime series. This is something that if you cannot appreciate it, I think there's something wrong with you, legitimately. This is a series that I think is so perfect to the point that I kind of almost refuse to believe it is from this fucking dimension, because this dimension is fucked. It's fucked to hell and back. There's no way mankind could have created something this perfect, and I say that in all sincerity. And finally, another one. This is another Scream Factory title. This one isn't going out of print or anything. It was on sale for like $14, so I was like, I can't complain too much, and I've been meaning to pick up these movies for a while. It's the first Sleepaway Camp, the Blu-ray DVD from Scream Factory. I like the Sleepaway Camp movies. The first, the original trilogy, I really like. Return to Sleepaway Camp is fucking garbage. The third one is garbage too, but at least it's kind of fun. The second one I kind of prefer over the first one because it's more comedic and kind of a horror parody, and it's also a lot more violent and goofy. I really enjoy it. But this is a legitimately well-made slasher flick, and I think everybody knows about Sleepaway Camp by this point. I would have grabbed at least the second one, the Blu-ray release of the second one from Scream Factory, if it wasn't for the fact that I am lazy and it was like $23, and I'm just like, no, I will grab the $14 Blu-ray of the first one and put that in my collection, and I will wait until the other one is on sale. So that's what I'm doing. I don't think I need to say anything about Sleepaway Camp, do I? And finally, the volume of a graphic novel I got is the second volume in the Sons of El Topo series, which is a graphic novel comic book series that Alejandro Jodorowsky is writing. It has written, and he has written this as a sequel to his 1970 cult film El Topo, which is a very great, weird acid western film. I genuinely really like that film, and this sequel kind of comic book series is very, very good. I'm really enjoying it so far. So far, the first two volumes are all we have in the U.S. My copy of the first one is a little fucked up, but I got the first two volumes, Cain and Abel. And I'm really excited for the third volume. I feel like the third volume will probably be the last one. If it's not, then, I'm more than okay with that too. But still, a sequel to, not the Holy Mountain, but sequel to El Topo, something that I would really like Jodorowsky to make, but that I don't think he will, because he's kind of getting up there in age, and I don't know if he really wants to make this anymore, which sucks. I know he said in like an interview a few years ago that he would want to make these, that he wants to make these after doing his autobiographical films, but I don't know about that. I don't know if that's still happening. But either way, it's still a really great graphic novel series, and I highly, highly recommend checking them out if you are a fan of Jodorowsky or a fan of kind of weird, graphic novels. This stuff is definitely violent, it's weird, it's all over the place. And I'm really excited for the third volume. Now I have to wait another year for the third volume, because it took a year for us to get the second volume, and the third volume will probably take another year. So, as of now, volume 1 and 2 is all we got. But it's going good, and I hope that we get that third volume relatively soon. Either way, guys, that's it for this update. This is Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews, signing off. Peace.